Chef Gord Martin's brain is infused with succulent flavors. He is a creative guy, former photographer and punk rock musician who now delights his fans with skillet roasted sablefish, green papaya salads, and 5-tribe celebration breads. He is the owner of the popular wine and tapas emporiums Bin 941 and Bin 942, and he has a new book, a first book out called Tongue Twisters. And it is my pleasure to welcome Gord Martin to Studio 4 to tell us more. Morning.
Morning.
That's quite the chef's outfit you've got on.
Yeah, this is for high-speed cooking.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Tell me about your high-speed music.
High-speed music. Well, that was a while ago. I haven't really done music for quite a few years now, but it was a great experience, and I think any artistic endeavor you can draw back on later on in life. So I've always been involved in arts, and I just decided to get in. You know, cooking has been a passion and a joy of mine since I was a child. So it was sort of a natural. And after I went through the musician thing and the art thing, and I realized, well, one day my hair's going to fall out, and there's no pension in rock and roll. I think I'll.
No kidding.
You know, yeah.
So I said punk rock. Was it punk rock, rock and roll?
You know,
what was the Pepper Lip? That was one of your bands.
Yeah, that was a gothic band when I lived in London. So you know, we wore the red lips and the nail polish and the black hair and the big thing and the white face. You know, the whole, kind of like that a little bit, yeah.
And the other one, Sister Electric.
Yeah, that was
Vancouver
more like a kind of a hard rock band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still play?
Not now.
Not in the kitchen.
You know, yeah, I play in the kitchen. Yeah. I do drum solos with knives, you know.
Are you? I thought you were a bass player.
Well, I am, but you know, I actually at one point I ended up after being in a band for so many years, you get tired of playing with people, so I sort of ended up learning how to play a little bit of everything. I started doing some recording on my own. I spent some time, I lived in Barcelona for about 8 months, and I went and did some recording over there for a Spanish company, and you know, I pretty much did everything myself, and then got a couple of local musicians over there to help out, and that was a pretty cool experience.
Sure.
And, yeah.
You bet. When did you know cooking was your thing?
Well,
your love?
Well, probably when I was really young, actually. I mean, I did a lot of cooking with my mom. I always enjoyed being in the kitchen, and always helped with dinner and baking and stuff. And you know, I was doing dinner parties for friends when I was like 12, 13 years old.
Serving what, mac and cheese?
No, I was buying like gourmet magazines with my with my allowance. Yeah, and
cool.
And my mom was really cool, you know, and they'd buy stuff for me, and I'd cook and practice, and it just kind of, so I always had it, you know. And really, you know, I suppose that I probably would have been a chef a little sooner, but you know, my dad was into race cars, and he was always building cars out in the yard, so I was kind of mixed, and I wanted the fast car, I wanted the food, I kind of wanted everything, you know. So I got torn between it all, and said, to hell with it, I'm going to go play some music, see you later.
Yeah, exactly. When you started the Bin, the Bin 941, the Bin 941 was before 942, I assume.
Yes.
Did you have a philosophy? Did you ponder in the hot tub and sit around and think, here's what I want it to be?
I knew exactly what I was going to do before I did it. Probably a couple of years before, actually. I kind of saw sort of a hole in the dining market, and realized that, well, for one thing, you know, people want to experience different things, and if you go to a hotel and you're going to pay like $35 to $40 for a plate of food, well, who's going to take a chance on trying ostrich or venison or different things, game things and stuff like that? So I thought, well, you know, take the perfect idea would be to take what would be sort of like a fine dining appetizer, which I sort of do. I call mine tapatizers because it's done in a tapas style, but it's still kind of very elegant looking generally and whatever, sometimes a bit rustic, but so take that sort of philosophy and put it on a plate and be able to offer it for $10, and then people will go, well, hey, I've always wanted to try ostrich, I'll try this.
Sure.
And we put
or I'll have 4 of those because I like it.
And then you know, because I have traveled a lot extensively, I've always brought flavors together, you know, which is why I call my food sort of cross-cultured cuisine, because I do tend to put flavors together that maybe traditionally didn't really work or people didn't think of, but because globally the world is so much smaller now, we don't have to take camels down the spice route and do all these things and trade, you know, vanilla pods for peppercorns in Madagascar and Tahiti and things like that. It all comes on an airplane now, so now we can experiment globally right in our own hometown, and that's kind of what I do.
So there is a term called fusion food. Is yours fusion food, or is that something else?
Well, you know what? Here's how it goes. Basically, I don't like to be lumped in with the fusion category because I think fusion is more like fission. I think it basically blows up in your face. It's kind of this thing where, you know, fusion is kind of a thing for a lot of chefs that I think maybe don't really have a good foothold in traditional French cooking and never really learned how to walk before they could run. So they're trying to combine a lot of things together. And so in the 80s, with the whole California cuisine, then it got turned into fusion or whatever. What really happened is people were experimenting with a lot of flavors that almost ruined cuisine. You know what I mean?
Because sometimes they don't go together.
No,
I'm
it's
Asian,
crappy.
I'm Mexican, I throw in curry in there and you think, ooh, this is a hodgepodge.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of science involved in the what I do, which is cross-culture cuisine. And, you know, I have traveled to extensively to most of the countries which I represent in my cuisine. So I have a first-hand knowledge of what they use. And I think I just have sort of an innate sort of ability to put things together, a pretty well-adjusted palate.
And I've poured through this cookbook because I love cookbooks. And what's great about this one is, yes, there are some things that are a bit fancy, but mostly it's something I can do. Like the spinach salad, wild mushroom saute with mascarpone dressing. How hard is that? You saute some mushrooms.
Yep, you saute some mushrooms. Essentially, the mascarpone dressing gets a little bit of apple cider vinegar, so you need your acid to balance out the cream. It's kind of like a creamy spinach dressing with wild mushrooms.
Wilt the spinach a little bit.
You wilt the spinach a little bit, and then of course, you know, at the restaurant we all have the molds, and we make it beautiful and things, and a few pink peppercorns in there and whatever, and it looks great. But really, it's not rocket science. No,
mascarpone is cheese, right?
Yes.
You can buy it.
You can buy it.
So you buy a little cheese, you add a little wine vinegar, a few peppercorns, put the mushrooms in the pan, saute them in a little olive oil, wilt the spinach a bit. Voila.
Voila. That's
it. I like that.
It's I mean, you know, it's kind of funny because you put these things on the menu, and you know, I change my menu probably 4 times a year, you know, and more out of there's always a few belly achers, you know, when you do that, right? But then they try something new, they go, oh, this is great, but that's something that's been on the menu for maybe 2 or 3 years now, and I can't take it off. People just love it, you know, and every once in a while you stumble on something and you just, you know.
I'm sure they say, I came here for that spinach salad.
We have a few times changed a couple things, but generally I try to keep a few very standard things on that people just love.
Okay.
You know?
You brought us ceviche. Ceviche for breakfast. What can you ceviche, and what is it?
Well, basically what happens is, ceviche, anything that is
Let's bring it over here, really, just so we can see how pretty it is.
The classic ones, I suppose, would be you know, prawns and scallops, and then of course in Mexico they'll use like red snapper or whatever kind of fish that they have on hand at that point. Essentially, the acid cooks the fish. You can physically see it go from cooked to uncooked as it becomes, you know, translucent and it becomes opaque. You can tell that looks like it's cooked. Now it's white, but when it started, it was translucent, clear. Yeah, and so the acid essentially cooks it. You don't want to let it sit in the marinade too long because it will tend to get a little bit chewy and rubbery. So really, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And if you leave it in the fridge, if you're doing a party, half an hour is cool.
Really?
But
it can't kill you. What if you didn't ceviche enough? You can eat a raw scallop.
Of course you can.
Of course you can. It's like sushi.
It's like sushi, yeah.
Okay. So what, watermelon on the bottom, got that.
We have seedless watermelon.
Square you made.
I made a perfect square today.
Did.
Yes, you know what?
Bit of a rectangle, well, almost a square.
I was practicing with my Lego set last night, and I just, you know, I got it down to a perfect square.
Exactly.
Anyway, perfect square of seedless watermelon. Then we have these are 10-20, which is the size of the scallop, which means there's 10 to 20 per pound.
Okay, and is that how you order scallops?
That's how you order it, and the same with prawns.
But there's different scallops. There's Digby.
Yeah, Digby from Nova Scotia. Then there's, you know, you have your swimming scallops, which generally come in live.
In the shell.
In the shell. I mean, you can get what they call U5s, which is under 5 per pound, which is like a steak. I mean, you're going to have like a scallop that big, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
The thing with scallops is you never really want to overcook them. Better to serve them rare to medium rare, just seared, kind of like tuna. Tuna's good that way.
Okay.
So this has got a little bit of lime juice, a little bit of fleur de sel, which is French salt, ocean salt derived from the ocean, all natural.
Comes in a little blue and white tub, or different tubs, depending on the brand.
Yeah, depending on the brand, and then of course, you know, some it's more gray, some's more white. The salt. That's another. There's
a whole book. Kurlansky wrote a whole book on salt.
It's crazy. Then there we have a little bit of Thai bird chili in there.
Some what?
Thai bird chili, which is
I use that every day.
There you go.
Thai bird chili.
That's what they're called. They're tiny little red chilies. And the thing with chilies, sort of the rule of thumb is with chilies, is the smaller they are, the hotter they are.
Okay. Don't touch your eyes.
Don't touch your eyes.
With chilies.
Don't touch your eyes and stuff.
Or parts.
Wash your hands.
None of your body parts when
Wash
you're
your
working
hands.
with chilies. Okay.
Indeed. Then we have on top of there a little bit of coconut foam, which is basically coconut milk, and we add an essence of reduced ginger juice and just a hint of lime in there. Just put it in a whipped cream canister, give it a shake, put your CO2 cartridge in, and spray it on top. And then, actually, I forgot to mention that on the watermelon actually is just a chiffonade of fresh mint.
Okay, a chiffonade?
Chiffonade is just like a julienne, essentially.
Okay,
and
that's a chef term. You know, a chiffonade.
Okay, I know. That was the difficult part about writing the book. Well, doesn't everybody know what that is?
Well, I don't think so, Hazel. What's a chiffonade? I don't know. Mush up the mint.
On top, we have a little bit of togarashi, which is a blend of Japanese pepper with black sesame and some seaweed and things like that. So
it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And
chili oil, just a
chili
little
You
drizzle
can buy
of
chili oil. You
can
cannot
buy
buy coconut infused
No, you can't.
fluff. You have to do that.
Yeah, you need to do that, but that's the styly part that makes your guests go ooh ah.
Ooh ah.
Ooh ah.
Yeah, and so we were talking about some of the simple things. This isn't quite as simple. You have to spend a little time.
Well, you know what? I did this because I thought this is, first of all, you taste it. It's just like instantly a bite of summer in your mouth. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we're ready for summer.
We're ready for summer, so I thought that would be a great thing to bring for a rainy day.
Yeah, why not? Cooking wild rice, simple. 2 cups chicken stock, some wild rice.
Exactly.
End of story.
2 to 1.
Ah.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Wild rice is awesome.
Yeah, classic mussels. You do lots of mussels.
Lots of mussels.
Way to clean mussels?
Well, essentially, mussels pretty much come to us clean because there's a beard on them, which is basically sort of their umbilical cord. That's how they feed.
Right.
But mussels, we go through probably at each restaurant, maybe 40 pounds a night at each restaurant. So it's like 80 pounds a day. So our mussels come in clean. They'll live in the fridge with a damp towel on them for 3 days perfectly. Obviously, if you have mussels, give them a little knock, whatever. If they're open, throw them out. And if they sound hollow, throw them out. If you cook them and they don't open, discard them. But
same with clams.
Clams, the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Clams
And
is the same thing.
do you cook them with broth, without broth? Does it matter? I used to just throw clams in a pot, no water, and they open and the juice comes out and they spit the sand.
Well, they will, yeah. Well, ours come purged. Purged means that they've been refreshed, so the sand is all gone.
Purged.
Purged, yes.
I'd have a purged mussel.
We'll have the order of bulimic mussels, please. Yes.
How do you purge them? Put them in water with something, or
Put them in water with a little bit of baking soda, and then they'll just open and release the. That really doesn't need to happen unless you're digging for your own.
Oh, fine.
They're
And
all
that's fun,
clean.
too.
Everything is clean now.
Now, you have a bin 9 for 1, 9 for 2, one on Broadway,
One on Broadway at Broadway and Granville.
and one
Davy and Burrard.
Davy and Burrard, and a 943 coming, not coming? A new bin in the bin?
Let's just say that I'm tired of jinxing myself.
Okay.
So sometimes there's certain things that may be coming, but I won't talk about. I've tried a few different endeavors, and it seems like every time I try to involve somebody else, all of a sudden something doesn't go right. So I think I'm my best pilot and co-pilot. So I am working on a project which is to be named Go Fish.
Oh, was this the one at Granville Island?
That's correct. Yeah.
Great. So fish and chips and sushi and oysters.
It's kind of going to be a little bit like an upscale fish and chip shop that's done correctly. It won't be greasy.
idea.
It'll be very crisp,
good
and
idea.
there will be a little bit of barbecued fish. All the fish is going to be wild, brought off the boats, off the
Excellent.
fishermen. Everything will be
Excellent.
brought in.
Okay, we have to give books away.
We have to give books away,
Tongue
okay.
twisters. He's brought in some tongue twisters. If you'd like a copy, it's fabulous, by the way. If you'd like a copy, email us here at Studio 4. Write us a letter in a week or so. We'll put you into the pot and make a draw. Make a couple of draws, maybe 3. Thanks.
Thanks, Fanny.
Great to see you.
Awesome. And you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Hey,
thanks for everything.
next time you can play the bass.
Okay.
All